here is many women from Japan as well. And you are someone, Indian women definitely look after you, especially the young girls. They want to be like you. They want to achieve things like you. I'm sure about it. Don't nod your head. So what is that over the years, the evolve, how Indian women evolve over the years?
I think one of the worst things we can do for young girls is to say that they need to become a prototype of some other woman.
That's true.
If you truly believe in liberal thought, if you truly believe in helping people find their own path, then the last thing you should tell them is to be a prototype. So if anybody tells me that I want to be you, I'm like, you have no idea what you're wishing for. Every individual, irrespective of their gender, comes with their own set of special capacities, circumstances, and every action that you undertake, you bear the consequences of it as an individual. So irrespective of whether I speak to young men or young girls or people of other genders, I always tell them, be conscious of every action that you take in life, every decision. You may act on somebody's direction, on somebody's advice, or wanting to emulate somebody, but ultimately you are the bearer of the consequences of those actions. So if that is the communication I can give to every Indian, I think my job is done.
Yeah, very perfectly you said. Definitely, because the thing you have went through, definitely, nobody will go through what someone else is going through. You would not go through.
I think everybody has a story.
Of course, everybody has a story.
But not everybody gets a mic.
Big applause for that. So how to get the mic?
Ask for it. I think most of the times we don't ask for something. And that becomes a challenge because we presume too much about silos that we live in. And ask and ye shall receive is something which is a part of a scripture. But I truly believe that today the youngsters, especially on the internet, speak about manifesting. But that has been a part of our cultures for years on end. That if you ask for something, then you subconsciously, consciously work towards it. If that's something that you ask for, transitions into a good opportunity for not only yourself but people around you, where you don't harm your community, your environment, then the universe or God itself helps manifest it into a reality. So be it a mic or something, a part of your greater destiny, just ask.
So asking, it can be one thing, asking from God or manifestation, which is actually part of our culture from many thousand years. And another thing, asking from the society, which is actually
Never
stopping.
ask from society.
They will never give you.
No, the idea is everybody's asking, so be the one who gives back.
Okay, so the right way to, right way to ask asking for the Almighty.
No, I mean, I differ a little bit. I'm not one of those types that you see in a regular Hindi movie standing in front of Shankar Bhagwan ki murti and saying, "Khush to bahut ho gaya aaj tum," or taking a sacred thread and running around a banyan tree and saying, "Hey Bhagwan, meri manokamna puri kar do." I'm not one of those people. But when I say ask for something, I'm somebody who is a Sanatani, as now is popularly known. And I think in Hinduism, the very concept of life and living is about giving. So if anything that I ask is detrimental to people, to community, to my way of life, then it just doesn't happen. And you know it as an individual. You know it as a practice of your faith. So I never ask that society gives me something. Society is not obligated to service me. There is no obligation either of human beings, relationships, family members, friends, colleagues to give you something. The issue is when you ask for something, what is it that you ask? People limit themselves. Some limit the ask to, let's say, financial success. Some limit the ask to fame. I'm of the opinion, ask so that your life is enriched, and that in itself is a complicated ask. Because as they say in Hindi, sona 𝗪𝗪𝗃𝗃 khara hota hai. So for you to shine, you have to be fried like gold is. So I think when we ask and you ask for enrichment, you ask for patience, you should know that the universe then will give you testing, trying times so that you reach that position where you are a much more giving, patient, calm human being. So till you do not go through those rigmaroles, you will not reach that, I think, the plateau of, let's say, patience, or that plateau of tenacity or diligence.
But women you are talking about, what you're talking about, it is definitely, for those who really, they have willpower.
No, I do not talk only about women.
No,
You see men coming on stage and talking only about men.
No, men don't talk about men, that is, but I think I would
Men
love...
asking other men, what do you think about men? It's only women who do this on public platforms. You should stop doing it.
But even we talk about men also, many men and women, they don't have that much confidence or willpower. What actually you are talking, how
everybody has confidence. I think one of our greatest tragedies is that we presume too much about how men should behave. We teach them as young kids. We are the ones who teach them that, to cry means not to be manly. To be emotionally responsive to an issue means not to be manly. To be caring means not to be manly. And we teach them as children, and suddenly as grown-ups we think they will respond differently. So if you want families to be happy, fulfilled, you're not, I think, in some way doing a great service to humanity by only focusing on how girls are to be brought up, or how emancipation has to happen only towards one gender. You have to give that, I think, space to actually see how we bring up our boys. And when we talk about bringing up the male child, they always speak about how the male child should be taught how to respect women. But is that the myopia we should continue to suffer with? So I met a 60-year-old gentleman who saw a movie, and very senior colleague from the development sector, a very serious human being, but in the parking lot suddenly started crying. And the movie he saw was about a boy and his father. So it is very discomforting to see somebody at 60 suddenly crying. And when I asked the gentleman, I said, "Sir, what happened?" He said, I realized that I hugged my father only when he was dead. So at 60, for a man to have that realization means that is something he must have lived with his entire adult life. But that is a conversation he could not have within his own family. So that's what I'm saying, that when we bring up boys, any conversation that you see on gender, it is always focused on rights. It's always focused on how men are to look at women. And we totally forget that they are human beings who have emotions. We condition those men to say, you have to be stoic. And ask any woman who's ever seen a husband break down. She must have been most uncomfortable. Ki ye kya ho raha hai? But we do that, and then we expect that as partners they be very emotional. So I think that from a gender perspective, I always tell women, don't do to men what has been done to you as women. And that is your best response to gender justice.
Very rightly you said, definitely big applause. And I have a, when I went to Japan 22 years ago, I saw Japanese women are not concerned about, they're very happy within their own space. They're not ambitious. Definitely over the years, they're achieving, they're into business.
With not being ambitious. I'm very ambitious, I'm very happy.
So you're not, if you don't do anything, you're happy.
That's another fallacy. Mm-hmm. That if a female is happy, then she essentially should not be ambitious. If a female is nurturing, that means she should not be a tough negotiator.
No, it's not that ambition, because I experienced that there. When Japan has changed.
I think we need to teach girls that you can be ambitious
and happy.
Right.
Right. There are many young girls are here and they're listening to. And they're ambitious, I'm sure they are going to be very happy as well. Yeah.
That's where I guilt trip them. Say she's happy, she's not ambitious. Nonsense.
Of course that is not, happy and ambitious is this is best balance one can have.
That's
But
not a myth. I'm sorry to say this. Everybody is suddenly teaching you how to find balance. And people who themselves gone through so much trouble that they're barely balanced in their own lives are actually teaching balance. To be balanced in a daily life, where you have a job or a business and a family, you're bringing up people who are supposedly children but very fast in a digital age, you're looking after your parents. In that circumstance, if your head is still about you, then you're balanced. Because
Right.
in isolation, it's very easy to be balanced. कोई stress ही नहीं है.
yeah, isolation, everybody balanced, definitely. But within stress,
And
being
who
balanced,
became the big daddy of giving certificates as to who's balanced, who's disbalanced?
many in the society.
This is the problem. Who seeks validation? We teach everybody how to seek validation. So imagine if you stop seeking validation for who you are as a human being, and suddenly everything changes. You don't want anybody's certificate to tell you how intelligent you are, maybe to tell you what kind of a human being you are. Because as maybe the Bible says, who's the one who has never sinned will cast the first stone? So who's giving out these certificates?
We all
As
are
to who's
creating
good,
problems.
who's bad. So I think the worst thing that I have taught to my kids is don't seek validation. I don't need anybody's certificate. As long as I do my best as a mother, as a daughter, as a wife, that's good enough.
I think many will follow here. Many women are, especially many Japanese are here.
Again, women, why?
Men too. Men also don't need validation, of course. We don't need validation. No gender bias. So, of course. So, here, since it is a Connect India-Japan, the Indo-Japan event, would love to know something about, how do you feel the relation between India-Japan?
Well, I am going to Japan for the cherry blossoms.
Oh, wow.
I think that one of the greatest celebrations of humankind in the digital age is that millions of people will go to Japan within the country or from outside the country only to see the cherry blossom. Today, in an age where technology is a great disruptor, technology in business is a great force of attracting travel. Can you imagine people who are not traveling for any other purpose but just to see the cherry blossom? And I think inherently that's the beauty of Japan, that you can go to Japan not only for its enterprise, its innovation, but just to go and see flowers bloom.
And the best news I'm going to give you, the Indian embassy it has the best view of cherry blossom in Tokyo.
That is the one favor I will do to my counterparts in Indian diplomacy and the foreign service, is not to be a headache at the Indian embassy and not to trouble them.
No, you don't have to
I
go
don't
there.
suffer from the VIP syndrome, so I'll be nowhere near them.
You don't have to go inside. You can see that, that's the best view. We have Ambassador Verma, Ambassador Wadhwa, and they can tell you.
I think His Excellencies, they can serve the cause of India and Japan much better when they have less VIPs like me who are tourists to deal with. We have the foreign service, which is extremely gracious, which has cultivated a spirit of service as a culture, so that more and more people, global citizens, organizations around the world, they are the best reflection of the best potential of India. And can you imagine that Indian potential just left to, talk even half an hour to a politician? So I
Very
think
honest.
they serve best when they serve under the aegis of the MEA. They serve visiting ministers and dignitaries who have something of import to bring back to the country, either as a business venture or as a technology partnership or as a cultural partnership. Me as somebody who goes as a tourist, and that's not the first time I'll be going to Japan. The first time I did go as a policy maker. The first time I did go as a social activist. This time I'm going just as a tourist. So if there's one ask I have, is that we have immense beauty in India. Can you please tell us how to get more of your tourists, not only to Bodh Gaya, but to different parts of India?
Big applause for that. So, yeah. So, we are going to take questions. So, do you have any question from the audience? Yes, sir.
He's too enthusiastic, yes. And you're getting yourself filmed also. Yes, sir.
Ma'am, it's a privilege to stand in front of you and listen to you. I'm a big fan. Ma'am, aside you being a great human, I'm great.
Who told you I'm a great? Acha.
Ma'am, we also see that you are fantastic, amazing orator. So if we know, because I have to come from public speaking, what are your mantras of being such a fantastic orator?
Practice on my husband.
So, you can do that on your wife.
That man has survived me for 30 years, so.
I heard this, when we,
See, I heard the, yeah.
I heard this recently on spiritual dimension, that if you feel enlightened, go and spend 1 week with your family. So I think like that's what it is.
I spend every day with them. No, but I think that as children, that is the one value I would like to inculcate, maybe in my grandchildren, though my kids are pretty young, is reading a newspaper out loud. In a digital world today, cognitive science tells you that youngsters who are reading through digital devices have their cognitive capacities that are getting affected. There, in fact, is a OECD report to that effect. And I believe that not only pronunciation, but just reading and allocating importance to a particular news on a newspaper teaches you strategic thinking. So I had a grandfather who had served in the Indian Navy, my Nana. And the practice that he enabled me with was to read the newspaper, but to read it from the front to the back, and then highlight for him the 5 most important news items of that newspaper. And then if I would highlight those 5 news items, he would ask me, and this is me at 6 and 7 years of age, as to why that news item caught my fancy. And if over a week, let's say I would not pick anything from the foreign policy, or I would not pick anything from the sports segment, he would actually tell me, do you know, this whole week you found nothing interesting in sports, you found nothing interesting in foreign policy. And I think that if you engage in mindful upbringing of children, that is the best gift that you can give them. So one was him teaching me how to highlight the news items. The other was, once the news items were highlighted, to read it out loud so my pronunciation could be checked. And lastly, he then taught me how to write. So I did not grow up with devices around me. In fact, I would wake up at 4 in the morning with him. He was a typical quintessential Bengali Brahmin who would go around plucking flowers and doing his daily pujas. But from 4 o'clock onwards to 5, while I walked with him and did all the rituals, he would also ask me, what did I read the day before the new newspaper comes? So which is, he actually empowered me with recall. You don't realize it when you're a kid. You're like, oh my God, why is my grandfather so cerebral? But as an adult, I think that's the best gift as a human being that I could have gotten in life. Thank you.
So, we'll take one more question. Yes, ma'am.
Actually, I want to know when you decided to be the Smriti Irani, when you decided like you want to be in politics, when you want to empower, to motivate people like us. When did you decide it and what made you feel like that?
So I was not born the Smriti Irani. The Irani came when I got married. I was born the Smriti because at 7 I was very sure, and I made a big proclamation in front of my parents. My proclamation basically stemmed from the fact that my parents got married in the emergency. Father from the Congress, mother an RSS Swayamsevak, which is the most explosive mix for any young couple. They must have been completely out of their minds. I was born in 76, and when they got married, they had only between them $150. So at 7, I was very clear that I may have been born poor, but I'll die rich. So I guess that's where the Smriti was born.
Thank you, ma'am.
Wow, that's really, really interesting. And I'm sure that you came to know a lot of more. 日本人何か聞きたいことありますか？大丈夫ですか？
I don't think our Japanese friend seen somebody who looks like battle axe in a sari. Yes.
So, Akiyama-san, so she's relaxing and she's looking at you. Sorry. Definitely. 何か聞きたいことありますか？Akiyama-san.
そうですね。私はここに来る前に、1週間ケララに滞在して、
はい、
でアーユルヴェーダのリトリートを体験してきたんですけれども、やっぱそこで食べ物っていうことがすごく大事だなって本当に私がいつも家で家庭料理を作るっていうことをすごく大事にしていることをまだ南インドの方まだまだそういう習慣があるんだなということを実感して帰ってきたんですけれども、家で家族を大切にするっていうことと食べ物をきちんと彼らも観察して彼らのが
それはどこまで大事ですか？
そう必要なものをどうやって見極めているかっていうのをインドでどういうふうにされているか聞きたいです。
So, since you are a wife, you said, and you are a mother also, she just, before coming here, she was 1 week in Kerala and she was in treatment in Ayurveda, also did yoga. And she wants to know how much important it is in India that making food at home and how much it's good for health.
I mean, ask any man sitting here how important it is. Because if there is one thing that they get back at the wife with, is that you don't cook as good as my mother does. That is the one source of the biggest fights in any family, food. But it's also something that brings together families. And I think that apart from jewelry as heirlooms, and one of the, I think, sweetest and most gracious gifts that a parent gives to the child, especially a mother to a child, is her secret family recipes. So food is quintessentially something which is very central to our communities. But more than that, I think one of the things I celebrate more about the food culture of my country is that when we teach our children to give back or donate, one of the, no matter how poor the family, we always teach the child ki gaay ko ek roti do. Means the cow has to be given something to eat. Or let's say animal has to be given something to eat. So when we talk about sharing food in my country, it's not only sharing with family members, it's also sharing with, other species on planet Earth. And I think that's what quintessentially is very different about my community.
So, 大丈夫ですか? Okay, she understood.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. And definitely, as you know, that Mrs. Irani will have to go. But before that, we have the award ceremony. And that is the reason she is here. And for that, I would like to request our volunteer to prepare the award. And, Delhi CM is coming to meet her. And that is the reason she is here for a very, very short period of time. And today, very delighted to say that from last year, we have started 3 awards and 2 felicitation, definitely. And for that, we'd like to request here Professor Smriti 𝗔𝗃𝗍𝗃, and she'll be felicitated by Mrs. Irani. Let me just get it. Not this, Smriti 𝗔𝗃𝗍𝗃. This. Yes. And we have Saul also. Saul, over there. That. Yes. This big one. পরিয়ে দাও আর এটা নিয়ে এসো Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And one more time, big applause for that, for her contribution to India-Japan. And we have with us Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni. Sir, are you here? Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni. Yes, he's here. And let me tell you, he stayed 1 year in Japan, and he's a big fan of Japan. He's always motivating me to work for India-Japan. Big applause for Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni. He is the Siachen hero. No, I will change. What's he? Textile. You went to Siachen. You want to say something about Siachen, sir?
She's the one.
You should talk about it, not me.
Come on.
Okay.
It's all yours.
No, I happen to be the only female minister in the history of India to be at Siachen, but
You know, to those who are present over here may not really know that's not easy to be on the Siachen. And you had, as a minister, she came there, and it was indeed encouraging, not for any other reason, extremely difficult. A place where it isn't easy to survive, for very difficult to breathe, but well, of course, she's extremely young, and therefore she did not find it difficult. She did not find it difficult. Very young, of course, without fail. And therefore, to those who have not, I think the government has now opened it up for tourism. Please make it a point to visit. It's a beautiful place to be in. Minus 40 degrees, difficult to breathe, difficult to eat, difficult to walk.
do visit.
Do visit.
But do visit.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. And now we have 3 India-Japan Excellence Award and Excellence in Diplomacy.
Okay, so it is now time to felicitate our dignitary fields, and Smriti ma'am will be awarding them. So our first award is for diplomacy, and the award goes to
Mrs. Deepa Gopalan Wadhwa. And it is our honor to give you the award.
She is the chairperson of Indo-Japan Friendship Forum.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Very honored to get this award. But I must say that I think serving as India's ambassador to Tokyo and to be in Japan was perhaps the greatest highlight of my career. It is an absolutely fantastic relationship, and I think anyone who served there is very lucky to be there, and at a time that India is rising, and I think India-Japan relations never have been so good. So thank you so much, and as I said, it's a pleasure when you work, and that's a pleasure to do so. It makes it even, more special. Thank you very much.
So our second award is for excellence in trade relations, and the award goes to Mr. Dhanesh Kumar Jain, the chairman of Emeritus Lumax-DK Jain Groups.
Lumax is the success story between India and Japan.
I'm humbled on behalf of my father to accept this award. He is 83. He went to Japan when he was 30. He has been promoting the trade relationships. We are part of a very small supply chain in the auto sector. And thank you for this honor.
Hospitality, and the award goes to Mr. Kenji Nakajima, founder of Manami Restaurant.
Nakajima-san? Nakajima-san? Mukhaita? Okay, so on behalf of Nakajima-san, may I request Suzuki-san to take the award? We will give it to Nakajima-san. And the award. Definitely. ありがとうございます。そう、Suzuki-san、一言誰かできたら。 きましょうか。
No, no, no. Nakajima-san is a kind of the history of our Japanese community. Yeah, the long time experience, and he's a kind of the guru to the newcomers to India. So I always respect him.
ありがとうございます。写真だけお願いします。写真。 For him. あ、これを持ってください。どうぞお願いします。すいません。You know, everybody was waiting for you. Thank you so much. At last, I would like to request you to say a few words for everyone.
Well, this is the Rising Sun Conclave, and as Ambassador Wadhwa said, you are to be most fortunate to be deputed there to serve not only the interest of India, but the global good because of the Indo-Japanese friendship. I see that there is a troublemaker in the crowd. I don't know whether he will have an opportunity to speak. A scientist, but somebody who speaks vociferously, voraciously reads about what India can help contribute to the larger cause of humanity. And I think that if technologically, through innovation and through culture and a confluence of great spirits, you want to serve the global community, then there's no better friendship than that between India and Japan. So my best wishes to the conclave and everybody who attended it.